Hey, friendos.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Lore Talk. For tonight, we have the wonderful Morgan, who plays Seraphina. She's going to talk about Sarah's background, um, her memorable moments. We might even touch on some of her famous quotes that we have logged and try and
Amazing. She
explain
has
the
a lot of them.
context as best we possibly can. Sometimes context is hard, but we'll
Yes.
try our very best. Also on standby we have Scarlett, who plays Amelia. She'll be popping in and out, doing her thing, helping out where we need help, really. Um, but yeah, with that, I'm always here if you want to shoot the shit back at me. But you have the floor, Sarah. You are the star tonight.
Okay. So I guess we'll start with just like basic background. She started out as a ranger, and background being soldier. So she entered the guard when she was like, I think the youngest that they take is what, 13?
I think that's what you said.
Yeah. So she started, her and her twin brother Jorah, started out in the guard when they were 13 because their dad is not a good person, but we'll get back to him.
We'll jump into that later.
We'll jump into and they both kind of raised through the ranks there, and they were pretty much each other's only friends while in the guard. They kind of trained together. She realized that she was better at archery, he was better at the sword. I'm trying to remember who the captain was.
Captain Isidore.
Yes, Captain
Guard
Isidore.
Captain Isidore.
Yes. She took an interest in Sarah and was actually the one to, I think, suggest her for the original campaign of
She was
helping Amelia to bring letters to all the new species.
Yeah, so basically, like, when the realms collided, which I feel like we could have one lore talk alone
Yeah, we'll
about
need to.
previous campaigns, so that's a lot. But
The short of it was the previous campaign, those characters dispersed, and our holdover, being Amelia, she needed a new team. And so that was my way of introducing our new campaign party members. Isadora was the guard captain at the time, and she had been with the twins for some time. And as Jorah was already in line to become the next guard captain, she suggested that Sarah be recommended for this position, which would be one of the closest high-ranking positions you could get at this time.
Especially because you are going to be joining the Queen's Council.
Yeah.
So it was going to be
very important.
We need some very well-trained people.
Yes, especially because I think outside of that, like, Sarah had really nothing going on for her at that time. She was in the grips of a massive, like, depressive state. So getting there, she dealt with a lot of stuff back in the north where she was raised until like 13 when they moved to Formosa. And because of all of that we'll get into later, she obviously had a bunch of depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. She ended up at 16 developing a mentor-mentee relationship with a more higher ranked guard who is 23 at the time. And they were really close, and it turned into a romantic relationship. And this was not great for her because obviously he was not a great dude, being 23 going after 16-year-old.
If it feels icky, it's because it is.
It is.
Honey, you're a victim.
And they were together for 3 years, but the entire time they kept it a secret because he was basically saying, like, they won't understand, I'm higher ranked than you, blah, blah, blah. The typical
Gross
excuses.
stuff. Yeah.
On the day of her 19th birthday, she actually witnesses him proposing to someone else, and then he just ups and moves. Like, he quits the guard, leaves, moves with his new family to go start a new life.
I feel like it's important for you to tell us which Taylor Swift songs have inspired said story, because it is critical to the narrative.
It's critical to the narrative. Let's see. Yeah, I created a little playlist, and she is a bit of a Swiftie. So one of them being Would've, Could've, Should've.
So
Absolute
good.
bop, we love it.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of Enough Said.
Yeah, we're like, stop there, actually.
Yeah. She is a bit of an angsty girl.
As she should be.
As she should be. So, due to that whole situation, she just falls further into alcohol than she ever did before, realizing all the red flags that she blatantly ignored and whatnot. She decides to get so beyond drunk, it's not even, I don't understand how she survived. Takes her horse and just rides north into blindness, essentially. She ends up getting lost without her horse, wandering around in the dark, cold. She knows that and she knows that she's probably going to die if she doesn't get saved, because she's in the middle of nowhere. It's dark, it's cold, all of that, and she does not care. And she just kind of, like, I think, falls asleep out there. This is her rock bottom for now. All of a sudden, she's awoken by a light, and she kind of just is in and out of consciousness as she feels that she's being lifted onto a horse, and then wakes up in a temple of Retris, where she's told a cleric has found her and found her near death in the woods and brought her to the temple to be healed. We later find out that this wonderful cleric was actually Amelia.
I'm gonna be so honest, I totally forgot about this.
I also forgot about this detail.
This is great. Okay, yeah, keep going. Yes. Cook. Okay.
So since then, she's had, like, a little bit of a, like, silent respect for Retris, because she realizes that she very well could have died that night. And this was her new shot at life. So from then, she kind of got her shit together and started working really hard, jumping into training. And this is when Isadora kind of, like, sees and is like, okay, I see you. You're actually not a piece of shit anymore.
You're not just like every other dude in the barracks. Okay.
Yes. Because that's been her coping mechanism, has just been trying to be one of the guys.
Right.
Hence why she's accidentally become the kind of comedic relief of the group, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of ways...
Actually a funny person.
She is naturally, I think, pretty funny, but also...
You know that trend that's on TikTok where it's like, oh my gosh, you're so funny, and it's like, thanks, and then it's like an explanation? That basically feels like Sarah. Yeah, she's like... Yes. They're like, oh my god, you're so funny. She's like, thanks. My dad never cared about me, and then I was horribly manipulated, and then almost died, and then... Yeah.
That is tough. But yeah.
So... After that...
yeah, that's prior to Act 1.
Right.
Yes. This is what Sarah was up to during the prologue.
Yeah. That's like backstory before session 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. That's the backstory before session 1. And then we get into, I guess, Act 1.
She also wasn't it during her time of like being a little bit like flirtatious, a little bit, you know, like she would spend time in taverns.
She
familiar with the brothels in the city, which is funny to me because there was a joke about Magnus and that, and he was like, no.
She definitely like, even though she kind of like got her shit together, she still harbored a lot of pain from all of that. So like, not only like was her first love kind of just basically abusing her, she also was abused her whole entire childhood. Hence why she went after the wrong man in the first place. And so like that never really went away. None of that healed. So she, even though was getting her shit together, she was still getting drunk repeatedly, you know, flitting through people, a different person in her bed every night kind of thing. She just didn't care as much. And she just was very, you know,
essentially no like connections. Like she didn't want to make connections with other people.
Yeah.
Like she trusted her brother, but
that Jory is the only person that she has ever truly trusted and cared about, and for a long time it kept it that way, because everyone else in her life never stayed long enough or just manipulated her, took her for granted, you know, that whole thing. So she learned very early to never trust anyone besides him, because he was the only one who really was worthy of that trust.
Okay.
So,
did you want to talk more about that, or do you want to move on to Act 1?
Like, do you want to talk about like you and Jorah a little bit?
I'm trying to think of like how to go into that without going into too much of her like childhood. Unless like we are going into her childhood.
It's all about Sarah today.
So I mean, if you want to go into her childhood so that they can better understand some of the motivations going forward, I don't think that would be bad.
Okay, so Jorah is her twin brother.
I'll put him up.
Yeah, you go ahead.
There you go.
Yay.
He was born 5 minutes before her. He holds that over her head.
Gotta make sure everyone knows he's older.
Everyone has to know that he's the oldest.
Simply do not get it twisted.
Yeah, respect your elders, all of that.
You know, when I was your age, you referenced what he was doing 5 minutes ago.
Basically. They are your like typical kind of like sibling duo.
Banter, you know? the whole
9 yards. They love each other so much. They are each other's ride or die. But at the same time, like they're like very much like, do you want a hug? Ew, no. Oh, thank God. like
do you really need it? Like if you really like, need a hug, I'll do it, but like please say no.
And they grew up so their father was like probably one of the highest ranking guards in the royal guard situation.
He was the commander, the guard commander before Isidore.
Yes. And when he got married, started having a family, he left that to move to the north to like have like a family life and whatnot. And their mother actually died in childbirth. So they've never known her mother, and her father, Yair, kind of just holds that against Sarah. He thinks it is her fault that their mother died, because she was like the last one out.
Because that's rational, it makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're gonna blame a child. Makes sense. Yeah.
So he basically blames her for that whole thing and essentially pits the two of them together their entire childhood. Why can't you be more like Jorah? Why don't you do this? He does it so much better. Even though he's still like abusing Jorah as well, it's still like Jorah's higher in his like eyes.
It's the dynamic where they choose one to give out a favor to, but what it is,
at the same time, it's
more
still
it's an impossible standard they must always meet. The perfect child.
Exactly.
And the other one is just the scapegoat.
And so there is a specific memory, I guess, like, because this happened in, I guess, Act 1?
Yes, I asked everybody to tell me a memory. I cannot remember the details.
I think it was the worst memory.
It was it?
Yeah. Well, because everyone's was traumatic, so it was their worst memory.
No, I think you said an important or something like that. I think it was likely. Like we needed an important memory because that like deeply impacted your character or something like that.
I think I might have worded it to be more like a memory that impacted you. Yeah, less about good or bad, but more like a very intense
like a shift. Yeah.
And so the memory that Sarah has is, she was. I have to re-find it because I forgot what I specifically said. Something had happened where like she messed up on their like family farm, didn't do something exactly correct, whatnot, and her dad basically got so overwhelmed with like beating her that he like grabbed an axe. Jorah sees, comes running and stands up and is like, hey, you can't, like, that's not happening. And he actually like swings the axe and cuts Jorah across the chest, and then just throws the axe and walks away. So like that is her like most horrific memory kind of thing of her dad like basically attempting to kill her. So she got trauma.
She do be having some trauma.
That's why she's so funny.
Yes.
Very funny.
Like, man, she's hilarious.
So funny. Yep. So funny. I'm the funny guy.
Even though all of this, all she's ever really wanted was to have someone be proud of her and like treat her well. She's never had a parental figure like be proud of her and be like, wow, that's great, good for you, like you did that well. Like that's really all she wants. And so she still tried to do her best, but then they got shipped off to guard training and whatnot shortly after that whole incident. And her and Jorah kind of like vowed that they were no longer part of that family and they would make their own.
They definitely have. They're every time that those two have interacted, I think in front of the group, I think everybody, when you hear them talk, it's very, very clear that they're like Garfield and Odie almost, where it's like they'll tease each other and da-da-da-da-da, but somebody else teases one of them, and they're like, well, hey, you shut your mouth. That's my sibling. You be quiet, you know? So they definitely have each other's backs.
Good banter.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about their parents a little bit?
Yer is her dad. He's an abusive piece of shit.
He actively sucks.
He does actively suck. And
one time he doesn't suck, I guess, is if he's dead at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's still
alive. The whole party is like just like sharpening their knives. They are getting ready for the day.
Yes.
And
correct.
I purposely kind of chose him to kind of like be kind of modeled after like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, simply because Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays the shitty dad so well.
True.
Yes, he's a great actor.
He's a great actor.
Like, I hate you. You're a great actor.
Shout out to that man.
Great job.
Way to act so well that I hate you.
That's how you know. He's great.
And he is currently the like interim captain of the guard.
Yes. We don't want to jump ahead too much, but yes, he is currently captain of the guard as the world state is right now.
Yes. Well, wasn't he also before Isidore?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he's interim.
Yeah, we'll get to that in Act 1. I'll explain that a little bit more as far as like world stuff.
So, but yeah, that's Yer. He's terrible.
And then, she had a relationship with her mother?
No, she died in childbirth.
No, that's right. That's right.
So this is kind of her around that time, which is why she looks so young, because she was like.
She was.
And then she died.
Right. Unlucky. GG's.
Yeah.
F's in chat.
I think.
Do you want to talk about? Did you talk about Rhea?
No, not yet.
How did we find her, our sweet baby?
Yeah, what's Rhea's origin story?
When Sarah was 7, she was training with Jorah, whatever, and she failed over and over and over. Her dad kind of just was like, leave, I don't want to see your face. So she goes off into the woods to calm herself. Your typical archer person hunting in the woods was a way to calm herself or whatever. She heard a noise, followed it. It was a little baby panther cub that was cowering against its mother's dead body while a wolf was about to attack. And so Sarah felt sorry for the cub, all alone and motherless like her. So she killed the wolf, saved the cub, and named her Rhea, which actually means, I think, friend or friendship.
I'm pretty sure it does, because you had described...
It does. It means friend in Hebrew.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
The whole party would literally lay down their life for this animal.
Yeah. It's a rule that Rhea's not allowed to die.
Yeah. It is a rule.
Rhea can get down, but she will not die.
Yeah, she can be unconscious, but she... Yeah, no.
Yeah, DM said no.
I don't want animals to die in my game. Call me crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. Which we appreciate. We do.
Yeah. We love Rhea.
We love Rhea. It's great.
She is very fun. Often I'll be in control of Rhea when it does matter. But she's assumed to be with the party at all times. Unless they're in a situation where it is not logically possible for a panther to fit into wherever it is they are going.
I mean, we tried. And
There was a situation where they tried to figure out the logistics of getting a panther up and down a ladder.
Yep. And she's not just your typical random panther. She's a large, she's large
big
animal.
Cat.
She's also
big cat.
Yeah, she's just built. She
is a true natural born killer.
And she's sassy.
She is.
She is sassy. We also love that she gives a lot of face journeys throughout our campaign.
She's got
if you annoy her, she will in fact let you know that.
You will have bombastic side eye all in your direction.
But she's beautiful.
I also feel like she is unintentionally trained emotional support animal.
Well, she's attached to Sarah supernaturally because magic.
And also, I feel like the party itself, if she notices that someone in the party is upset or whatever, she'll go and she'll cuddle with them, lay her head on them,
if they don't want that,
attempt
she'll guard.
Pressure therapy. Yeah,
she will just start guarding because she considers the party and those that they have adopted into their little found family as her pride, basically her pack, whatever you want to call it.
Mother is mothering.
Yeah, she is mothering. I must protect you now.
She's like, anyway, I'll take care of it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's shimmy on.
It's called a claw.
Oh,
a group of panthers is a claw.
Aww, we're the claws.
We're the
claws.
You gotta say it like that,
adorable.
Though. The claw. Okay.
I imagine also that Sarah at one point would be like, "Are we your claw?" And Rhea's just like, "Son of a bitch," you know, like these
she
bitches.
It's like Rhea gets up and leaves the room.
Yeah, she's.
I don't want to associate with you right now.
Yeah, can we not do this right now, please? I beg.
I do enjoy that their dynamic feels more sibling coded.
It is sibling coded
than parent-child coded.
Yeah,
as far as with an animal.
They are 100% sibling coded.
I find that quite interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Segueing over into the events of Act 1.
Yes.
So Act 1 began after the Cataclysm, which we will get into in another lore video, but the long and short of it is a world-altering event. Everyone noticed it. It was not a surprise. Everyone said, "Oh shit." And then our queen started to make moves to try and get ahead of this big change in the world. She was she gave most of this like task to Amelia to try and assemble a group for diplomatic purposes, and also to like scout. It is only later they became known as the Queen's Council. But that is how we ended up with everyone in the group. As we said, Isidore recommended Sarah because she was #spiraling, and Jorah was already in line to become the next guard commander, so she couldn't just be like, "I want you to be guard commander one day." So she's like, "Okay, this is a task that you can do. I feel like you are equipped to do that. Good luck, have fun." Not really, but good luck, have fun. So, do you remember, or do you want to say how Sarah got introduced to the group, to the queen, to all of that?
She was hella nervous.
Up until this point, she has not met the queen in person, correct?
No. I know that we all like gathered together in the breakfast room.
Yes.
And because Ophme had never sat in a chair before.
Right.
We all sat down on the floor. We made the prince sit on the floor for the first time in his entire life.
Facts.
He was not a fan.
We opened an entire cask of ale.
Correct.
And proceeded to get drunk while playing 20 questions.
Yes.
It was great.
Yep. Oh boy.
Also, Sarah is in fact the originator of Girl Talk.
Yes. If you're unfamiliar, Girl Talk is an in-universe session thing where the girlies will get together and have basically the equivalent of sleepover style talks with each other before bed. These usually happen in wherever Amelia's quarters is, even though she never invited them to do that. They just all decided that's where they needed to be.
That's facts.
Either that or by a campfire.
Yes.
Yep.
By campfire is more neutral. It's more communal. But yes, sometimes things are pretty intense in the story, and the girls don't get to have their girl talk. But I do think it's integral for them to like decompress and talk.
Because like it started with asking each other questions to get to know each other, because these are three. Because it started out with just Amelia, Sarah, and Ophme. It was just three random girls that had never really met before. So they were trying to get to know each other, and she got deep sometimes.
Indeed.
I think Ophme asked like, "What is love?"
In one of our sessions, yes.
And we were like,
that is a good question.
That's a really good question, Diane. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. Moving on. But Sarah started everyone off strong in the Girl Talk.
We should have your iconic first question that you ever
we're
asked.
The first ever stellar quote. because Sarah was one who actually like suggested they play 20 questions because it is how they initiated the new soldiers into the guard, because it's like, hey, let's get to know you.
Also, I feel like it is a really cool thing that kind of like how our group met multiple years ago now, which is kind of crazy that it's plural. But I think what was really cool is that at the time, like you were doing like a 20 questions thing, but I think that like as a group, it also allowed like I guess like the voice actors, quote unquote, to also have these moments of like, okay, well, how would my character interact with this, or like whatever? Because at that time we were doing sessions in person. So it was like we were kind of even like feeling out the dynamics of like our group meeting for the first time.
Yes, and we weren't that close at the time.
Yeah, right. And also specifically like Sarah is my first like legitimate character.
Right.
This is the first character that I've made that I've been able to fully like flesh out into a person. And I think same thing for Ofame as well. Like this is like
Amelia too.
Yeah, these are our first.
I think all of us it's our first character.
Yeah, it's our first legit. Like I've played campaigns before, but they were always like super short or like half finished. Didn't get further than like 10 sessions in, so we never really got to flesh out the character well. This is the first time that we've been able to like really flesh out these characters and make them into legitimate people that have like depth and feeling and like you know,
they're like characters with full range of emotion, ideals, beliefs about the world. And I think that for all of us, we could say that those characters started obviously with little pieces of us, but as the campaign has gone on, I think the more comfortable you get, not only with like your table group, but also with like branching out your character and asking a little bit of like the character analysis as the person who plays them, ultimately kind of allows us to step away and like let the character become who they are. So it was really cool, I think, that first session when like you kind of had this idea and you were like, you know what, like we're gonna try and we're gonna go like all in. So that was cool.
Yeah, Sarah's starting question for the group. She said we're gonna start
off easy.
Yeah, we're gonna start off easy. Go ahead.
So she just asked the whole group like, okay, well, who here's a virgin?
Yeah, super easy to unpack.
Great question. Great first question for a group of people who've never met before up until this moment.
And also specifically asking the Crown Prince.
Yeah,
as well.
Magnus was in fact present.
That is important detail.
Yes.
It also was important that Magnus and Amelia were still very much not talking about their feelings for each other or anything like that. So it was very, Sarah, it was crazy. And I'm pretty sure we laughed for like a solid, like, it was a hot minute. Like, and we were in person, like, just like at this store where you can like have a table or whatever, and we just like died laughing. Were we also the only all-female group in there? Yeah. Probably ever, but
yeah, I think we're always the only all-female group if we ever meet in person.
Yeah, true. At least in our city.
Do we want to include Ofame's greatest answer ever to Sarah's first question?
Yes.
Do we have it?
Yes, it's in our quotes. I think the inquiring minds would like
to. I think it's
important. We're not going to explain until it's Ofame's turn.
Ofame's session, yeah.
We're not going to go into detail on it.
Nope.
We're going to let her answer it. Sarah asked, let's start off easy, who hears a version? And Ofame so delightfully asked, what is that?
And that's where we're gonna leave that so that Ofame can, Ofame's voice actress can elaborate. Yep.
Okay, so
And
Act 1.
in a lot of ways, because of those, I feel that Amelia and Sarah during the first act were very, I don't want to say parental, but maybe big sister for Ofame, where we were like, hey, we're not going to like break her spirits because she's coming out of something really complicated, so we're not gonna ruin that for her.
I will say that early on, even though both of your characters at the time were being very cagey because of their issues, I'd say that your characters early on got on very quickly. They became besties, and then later on, everyone became more besties all together, which I thought was really cute. This is just my 2 cents. Me watching my favorite show. Aw, they're becoming friends.
Yeah. I think we all became friends very quickly, like the characters did. And then like even then also became like we became family.
Like, which is more important.
Rather quickly as well, I feel.
That's what happened when you are trauma bonded.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that, in Act 1, a lot of the events, we'll call them the events, TM, started to occur. There were several, but one such event I'm going to mention before I forget. There was an issue. I did have sometime, I can't remember the boss battle, but I know it resulted in Isidore being let go. She was accused of
it wasn't a boss battle. It was we were at a like council meeting, and basically people who were sons of the divine tried to like attack the queen and the queen's council, and basically they were like undercover. They looked like guards.
Yeah, they were
so basically it was like
I remember now.
That doobie looking like Isidore was not. It was either one of two things. She was either being treasonous or she was not doing her job well enough. So she kind of got let go. Yeah.
The queen decided not to exile her, which would be
murder her.
Well, a lot of people called for execution, but the queen said no. Smile.
That's not how the queen works.
No,
turds.
She also did not choose to exile her. She simply let her go from her position. And behind the scenes, she's like, just keep an eye on her. If she tries anything weird, we'll deal with it then. I'm not gonna jump the gun.
Yeah.
So Isidore was no longer guard commander, and after that, Jorah became guard commander in her stead.
He was overwhelmed
for the remainder of Act 1. He was in fact very overwhelmed with this task.
He was trying his best. Okay.
He did. He was still very did a good job.
He was.
He was like mid-ish 20s when all this was going down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was the youngest person to ever become guard commander, but he was definitely on the younger side for sure.
But he also like he wasn't exactly like aware that he was being groomed for guard commander either.
Oh god, no.
So like that was also like if he had known that he was being groomed for, he would have taken things more seriously probably and like definitely like prepared better. But this was very much all of a sudden for him, and he was just like,
Yeah. So the queen started to refer to him more. I'll save the little nugget of Jorah's interaction with Magnus until a bit later because that was hilarious. We reference it too much. It was great. But yeah, that's what he's doing for most of Act 1. Our lovely ladies were basically working with the queen, mostly within Formosa, trying to communicate with the new races who have now appeared on this plane.
Yes.
One of the places they did go, they met. That's how they met Meryl. I am trying to remember other smaller quests that you guys did on Act 1 before I jump the gun.
Let me look at my notes. Let me consult my notes. Hold on.
Yeah, because
I'm like Act 1.
We
okay.
Had a party.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. We were also introduced to Anna for the first time in Act 1.
Yes. Did we, so my question is, did the party happen before that, or did we go there after the party? The ball?
Oh, I remember that it was for, like the party was for all of the realms that got like basically like notes from the queen to try and be like a all are welcome here sort of thing.
So did we go?
I think Anna came to us.
We went there first, though, I think.
No, you guys were on a journey to the Elven Kingdom, and on your way there,
we met Finn.
You ran into Finn and Anna.
Right, and then basically,
we were also looking for Magnus because wasn't he held hostage?
Magnus
he went to try and be a diplomat. Yeah,
for diplomacy, he willingly went. This was information that you knew. Yeah, but eventually, Amelia was no longer to contact him, and that prompted all of you to start traveling to the Elven Kingdom.
Yes, we were like, give us back our prince.
And that is when you finally met Anna.
Mm-hmm. And we met the queen.
You did in fact meet the queen, the Elven Kingdom Queen Freya.
She's no longer with us.
Spoilers, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's Act 1.
I'm not serious.
No. But yeah, we met Anna, we met Finn.
And basically we were like, hey, you should let the princess come to be like a diplomat or whatever. And then Anna was like, hey, so my mom's cuckoo bananas. Fun fact.
To, take over your land.
But we didn't know that until the party, because that's when Cal crashed for the first time.
Yes. We were referring to
I should probably add Cal to the stream.
Oh, sure. Please, by all means.
We gotta see the boo thing, All
right.
I'm gonna talk briefly about Cal, because I do want to do NPC specific deep dives. But Cal showed up at a party that was being held. It was actually it was, and it was being held.
Masquerade. I love it.
It was being held in your honor. I remember. Anna was with you.
That was also. It was Onyx. A really important night for a lot of people.
Onyx also crashed.
We'll talk about it.
Onyx did in fact crash. Cal showed up towards the end of this ball. At the front steps, and he was bloodied, in very bad shape, falling off of his horse. His horse was on the brink of death, as is what happens when you push the horse too hard.
That's Jorah. Oh, you're just going through a slideshow. Got it.
Yeah, I had to go through the slideshow first.
All right, so this is Cal as he looks when he looks good. When they first met him,
this is formal.
This is him like buttoned up.
Yeah.
This is him buttoned up.
Oh, side thing about Jorah. That headshot, that's his professional headshot that he commissioned himself.
I'm not shocked.
From a local painter before he was captain.
So a thing about Jorah that's important to note is that he is pretty, and even worse, he knows he's pretty. So it's gonna be
pretty.
And he will in fact try it at least once or twice, even if you're in front of the person that you are currently with. He will try it
afterwards. Yes,
he is
but he's gonna shoot a shot.
He's gonna shoot a shot.
after like the second no, it's very likely that all of his shots are like not even trying to land. He's just it's a
he's just
reaction.
doing it
That's
to
just
like
him.
be funny. Yeah.
At this point, it's just fun. When Cal shows up, he's in really bad shape, but he comes to announce to everyone that the Elven Kingdom is close at hand and plans to attack. That is why he showed up. Cal is important, especially in Act 2 for Sarah's story.
Yay. Because Sarah had a little bit of a love triangle in Act 1.
Yes,
this party is also where she meets Ardo.
Ardo Nerva is a noble. He's a nobleman. I would say one of the higher ranked nobles to Formosa. He was already courting Sarah at the time before Cal showed up bloody on their doorstep.
No, they weren't courting. This is the first time they met.
Was it the first time they met?
They met at the party.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and it was like it was a very much like Sarah was. She was attracted to him in the sense that like she saw that he was safe because
Ardo was he's not dead. Ardo was a perfect gentleman because he was raised to be. That is just the truth. There wasn't anything particularly wrong, I guess, that Ardo did, except for he has his own issues that he hadn't completely worked through, but he was trying to be this image of himself as a bit above what he could actually offer. We'll get more into it when we do NPC deep dives.
Yes.
But as far as Act 1 with Sarah's story, this is where she meets them both. As far as smaller events in Act 1,
I think so. Like getting back to like the party, I guess, specifically for Sarah, she, I think, immediately had a like tiny attraction to Ardo in the sense that like he was the first like gentleman to like show feelings for her, even though at first it felt very like, oh, well, you're on the Queen's Council, could you help me and my sister kind of thing, because they had some stuff going on with their lands, but it turned out that like he was actually being genuine. But she also immediately had attraction to Cal, like a very like instinctual, if that makes sense. Right?
With what? I'm sorry, one more time.
Like she had like a kind of like an instant like attraction to Cal in the sense that like
I think that one of the biggest things is that like just to I think to be important for understanding like some of Sarah's motivations is that I think that when she first was like when she first met Cal, I think it was like a hey, you're hot. And so like some of her old habits of like hey, I find you attractive, right?
As well as the fact that he completely was brushing her off. He didn't care. And so it was very much
we come for him, he had reasons.
Yeah.
Right. But it was I think it was something that she felt safe to feel interested in him because he would never catch the same level of feelings.
Because she could see it as a safe option for her in the sense that it could be fun for a while and it not cause her anything, versus Ardo was something that was going to cause feelings to happen, and I don't know if she was ready for that, but she was already struggling internally with like, should I finally grow up and like have a real relationship?
Yeah, but I think also at the time it was, you know, Cal being who he is was very much like relationships are stupid. We're like literally at war, right?
Yeah.
And like also at the time, I think Cal was generally interested, I guess, in Sarah, but I think it was also he saw that there was other people who were interested in her at the same time. So he was also, like, I'm gonna focus on.
I think he also knew himself and what he could offer, and he was like, I can offer nothing.
Right.
And so like, I'm gonna let you decide, kind of thing.
Right. Which I think was really interesting in Sarah's development, is that she actually, before her and Cal in Act 2, right, ever pursued anything, kind of started like talking about it, like kind of edging up to that line, you know, like kind of being like, well, we can talk about it, you know. She tried to force herself into the so-called relationship that she, quote unquote, should want.
Yes.
Like the life that she should want, but she was ridiculously unhappy.
Yeah.
So I think that in order to understand where she's at with Cal right now, we need to understand why she pursued the things that she did with Ardo.
Yeah, so like, spoiler, she chose Ardo in the end. Even though he was fundamentally the complete opposite of what she, I think, wanted. Like,
or even what was, like, I think, good and complimentary to Sarah as a person.
She thought, Ardo is safe. He is a nobleman. He will take care of me. He is smart, educated, gentle. He is not the same kind of guy that she went after before, that was just red flag after red flag.
Well, and I think also Ardo was he was just fine, right?
Exactly.
Like, he was just fine. So there wasn't anything like crazy about him, or something like some belief that he had about like humanity, that he was like, we have to stand up and like do da 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 da, you know. He was more like, I want to go back to my like land that I am the lord over, and I want to have a wife and settle down and live pretty like boring. And Sarah was like, right, I should want someone like that.
I should want.
You know what? Ain't nothing wrong with that, but that's not really what Sarah wanted.
That's not who Sarah was. Like,
fundamentally, it's just, that's like, so much not Sarah. It's unreal. Yeah.
But it's also important to note that in Act 1, when you guys first met Cal, he was in no position to really entertain the idea.
Oh God,
no. Oh God, no.
He was freshly extremely traumatized.
Freshly
and only focused on revenge.
Yeah.
Yes. And so after
he like
one finishes,
barely had his friends.
Yeah. After Act 1 finishes, there's, I think, what is it, like a 4-year gap?
Yes.
Between Act 1 and Act 2.
I want to also touch on, during the final battle of Act 1, we did split. The party went to the main battle, and some of the companions that they had gotten close to over this time went to defend the wall.
Yes, Jorah included was in that group.
Jorah was included in that group as well, yes. We will get into it some more, but it is
during
important
his
to
NPC
note,
deep dive?
During his and Cass's, but I'm going to mention some names that you don't know yet. But we had a character named Cassandra, who was a cleric, also paladin. And she was on the wall with them. And she's important to note because she expended all of her healing to ensure that Zenchi, who's a rogue, and Jorah, Sarah's twin brother, survived that battle. And she ended up passing in that battle. Jorah ended up surviving because of this. But he harbors a lot of survivor's guilt going into Act 2.
Beyond amounts of survivor's guilt.
A lot of men died under his command. A lot of young men. A lot of very new guards. People that looked to him for orders. Every order he made, he felt the decision when they died.
Yeah. So he's not doing well.
Yay!
No. On a light note,
Anyway.
Anyways.
I wanted to bring that up because it's important.
Yes. So I think also to point out is right before the battle as well, Sarah starts noticing random pieces of magic happening around her that she has like no way of understanding. This is how she realizes that she has magic, which she's technically always had magic in the sense that like she had dark vision. There were a few other like hunt and like hunter's mark stuff like that like rangers have. She just thought that like she just could see really well at night and others could too, or like she just thought it was normal. She didn't realize that there was underlying magic in her. And so because of the cataclysm, because of them going to Atlas for the first time, which is just wilds of mount of magic, it kind of awoke the magicalness in her. So that's happening after the battle. She decides to go with Ardo to his estate back in the north because she thinks
during our time skip for
our time skip for 4 years, she decides that she's gonna be the wife. She's gonna be the wife and mom that she thinks that she should want to be, and she can't stand it. It's very much
she's bouncing off the walls of those very, very pretty estate.
Yeah, she has no real freedom there. His family doesn't like her, is expecting her to act a certain way that she has never known how to act. They're wanting her to basically be another noble, and that is just not who she is. They're saying, you can't wear pants, you can't wear leathers, you can't wear boots, you have to, wear dresses, do this.
And Ardo, from his perspective, isn't demanding she do these things.
No, he's
not. He's saying you no longer have to. He said you don't have to do that. I got it. You don't have to fight anymore. We have guards.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Like, you can be safe. Like, you're safe here. You don't have to.
Well, and I think it's also like the shift from. I think Sarah has always wanted, I think, to feel like she has somebody who has the same sort of strength that she has. Because she's built that herself, you know?
She also just, like...
And Ardo did not have that.
She wants to be useful. She wants to be needed. Like, that is her whole, like, who she is as a person. Like, that is her ultimate, like... If she doesn't feel useful or needed, she feels like she is not worth being around.
Right.
Like, if she can't be helpful, like, especially during the final battle, she kind of didn't do a lot. She felt like, I'm just stuck here with my bow, not being able to do much damage. Amelia's over here with all this magic. Hal and Finn are these, like, giant tanks who can do damage, and I can do maybe, like, 4 points damage per arrow kind of thing. And so she felt even more useless there. And it was just like a constant, like...
Well, you gotta keep in mind that they were fighting a god.
They were fighting a god.
That's not important.
So, like, and she's like, I'm not doing any damage. Like, honey, child, love of my life, you are fighting the goddess of war.
Exactly. But, like...
I need you to be so fucking for real right now.
Like, she kind of just had this internal cycle of just, like, not feeling good enough. And then to go to Ardo's estate, where she wasn't good enough for his family. She felt like she wasn't good enough for him. And he was not really present to reassure her at all. And was busy doing his stuff and whatnot.
Being a lord,
and just basically was, like, sometimes there for dinner. She had no one.
And then Amelia came and visited.
Okay.
And she said, what in the fuck heckles is this?
Really, Bob? Damn, did you live like this?
I mean, it don't smell like roaches in here and nothing, but also you look sad as hell. What the?
Yeah. I think this is also when she confides in Amelia that she has learned that she has magic.
Yes.
And they're like, You should come back to Formosa to, 1, get out of this hellhole, and 2,
try and figure that out.
Also, if you've read ACOTAR, Amelia said, leave that man. That piece of human trash over there who is not encouraging you to live your best life. Like, absolutely not.
I feel like he meant well.
He did.
I do not.
But I think, okay, because I did say this once, that I feel like because Ardo was like quote unquote fine, right? I feel like it was right, but I also feel like it was the textbook definition. He loved her in the best way that he knew how, right? And like it wasn't like he was trying to be this like awful maniacal person. Like I don't believe that about Ardo.
He was treating her as he would treat a noblewoman who he would have as
court
his wife.
Or whatever. Well, yeah.
Which would mean is all the things that Sarah chafed at, which would be you manage the house. That's it. Like you're around and you show up to events and look really pretty. That's kind of it.
Also, like how he was probably raised. He probably didn't have a very active father in his life. It was his mom raising him, and then he went off to boarding school at like 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So like he never learned how to have the relationship that like she needed at the time.
Like I definitely feel like he was trying to love her in the best way he knew how. It's like, just it was not compatible.
Like we're not saying that he's a bad person. He
has plenty of bad people. Yeah. Ardo wasn't.
No, he was just...
Ardo? He's literally just a guy!
Hit him with your car! He didn't do anything wrong. No, he's just some guy.
He's just some guy, dude. I mean...
That's it.
It's the best way to explain Ardo. He's just a guy. He's hot!
But he's got that going for him.
He's got that going for him.
Very sweet.
I feel like part of me feels like she kind of just left in the middle of the night, too. She just like left him a note and said, "I can't do this."
It is currently
no hard feelings.
That Sarah left, did not tell him that she was leaving, and then did not respond to any letters that he had sent to the palace.
Because he sent several.
Figure out what was going on. Not even like, "Please come back." He's like, "Hey, where are you? Are you okay? What's going on?" So she did, in fact, ghost him.
Yeah. I think she left a note. She at least left a note that's saying, like, "I can't do this. We're not right for each other. No hard feelings."
He knew enough to
Didn't
know.
He propose though?
He did. He did propose.
Okay, yeah. You probably left the ring.
Yeah. So he's like, "What happened?"
Yeah.
What's wrong?
He's like, "We went 0 to 100 real fast." What the freak? Yeah. It's okay.
Is it?
She was responding out of her own personal trauma. Okay, so we're gonna give her some space.
Okay.
To exist. Stop! Don't. Okay, me.
All right. I'll put the therapist hat away.
Okay. Good.
So, she then goes back to Formosa, and she decides to just fall into magic, I guess.
You said she talked to Amelia, and Amelia wasn't much help because she is a cleric, and then she tried to speak with Ren.
And Ren's busy.
Ren is a very busy lady. So she's managing an entire kingdom.
Yeah, so she kind of goes the wizard route and just studies magic, and Hecta specifically, because she realizes with the kind of magic that she has is very unique, and she feels like, well, Hecta's the only one who could really help me, and Amelia knows Hecta, so let's try and figure out what the heck we can do.
What the Hecta?
What the Hecta do? God, I hate us. Okay.
We're great.
I think I also put in here that with Amelia building the Pantheon, she's also specifically wanting to help build a school of Hecta.
For, like basically like a school of magic, yeah.
A school of magic, because people who have magic in Formosa still aren't like
highly esteemed.
They're not highly
esteemed. Say it that way.
They're still not really like taught. They don't really get.
Some people definitely still have some prejudice.
Yeah.
So that's for sure.
Fun.
Yay.
We'll get there when we get there.
We will get there. For sure.
And now we're in Act 2.
Oh, we are very in Act 2. So by Act 2, Sarah is in Formosa again, hanging with Amelia. And by this time, the rest of the party, I think Ophme, by this time was traveling with Meryl, I believe.
Basically, by the beginning of Act 2, they had settled in Atlas for a minute.
Yes,
like they had been there for a sec.
Ophme, Meryl, and Dante had been settled in Atlas.
I think for like a year or two.
Yeah, a year or two or something like that.
Yeah.
And the party was then invited to Atlas for the wedding of Anna and Finn, their friends from Act 1.
Yes.
Anna, who at the time they met her was the princess of Atlas, was now during this skip. Her coronation did occur during this time skip. I don't know if we decided whether or not everyone attended or some people attended, but yes. So she is now queen.
Yep.
And she sent out an invitation for them. She didn't just send out an invitation. She made Cal come personally and give this invitation to everyone because Cal can fly.
Cal can fly.
We'll get into that more. He can fly now.
Yes.
He couldn't before.
Right.
There's a reason for that.
Wama.
We'll get there another day.
Yeah. So.
For that one.
Yeah, I know you're excited for me to go ham talking about. All right.
It'll probably be like an Atlas episode.
Yeah, we'll do Atlas NPCs episode.
Yeah.
Talk about all of them. But yeah, he came and hand delivered this invitation to them, and they were able to travel to Atlas for this wedding. At this point, they reconnected with their friends. A guest started arriving, and they then got later news that Atlas was soon to be attacked by another kingdom that the party had not heard about before, because the planes were separated in such a way that, as far as our main party knew, Formosa was the main power at the time, but that was soon shattered when they had interactions with Atlas at the end of Act 1. So it is not entirely too surprising that there are more kingdoms they don't know about, because they just didn't exist on their plane before. All right, it's a little thing, but yeah. So what's Sarah up to when you get back to Atlas?
Her and Cal are flirting a lot. In like the most cringiest way possible, I feel.
100%.
And
Amelia does treat Cal a little bit like a brother, where they will constantly.
This is stemming from the fact that Amelia healed him
the first time they ever met.
She healed him, and he didn't expressly say thank you.
Ever. And she said, hey, you're welcome. And he didn't say anything. So she took that personally, and she still holds that to this day. I actually don't think that she holds it that much. I think it's just now they're in so deep with this bit that she simply can't stop.
Yeah, there's a bit going on.
Like this bit
Sarah spends most of the beginning of Act 1.
Sarah definitely feels
trying to get these two into a get along shirt, because she can't possibly have her boyfriend and her best friend hating each other.
But she's not her boyfriend yet.
In her mind, in her mind, they're married.
Yes, in her mind, they're married. They have not actually been official at all. Like any sort of tension or quips or anything that y'all are hearing.
Up until current day in the campaign, still
they are not together yet. Because
my mouth is agape, because I thought
it's let's survive this first and then we'll talk.
What?
That was their discussion.
Okay, and Amelia was not present for that, because she would be like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Because I don't know. Because there was a big thing that happened with Cal.
Right.
That he has to deal with. And now we're also going into a war. So he's got multiple things going on in his life, and he's like, I don't know if I'm even ready for a relationship.
And Cal is also the commander of Atlas's army, by the way.
Commander of the army.
Yeah.
He's got lots of things going on.
He's a full-time job. Oh my god, he's employed.
So he's got stuff going on and whatnot. And Sarah ended up, I think, getting drunk one night and left him a note in his office / bedroom about like, hey, come find me later, whatever, because she was not of sound mind. And so she got bold. And he confronts her with it, and he's like, what are you doing? And they finally have the conversation of like, he's like, hey, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Let's just like survive this, and then we can talk about it. And he says that he wants to take her to the tree.
The tree is, all we need to know for this is that the tree is very important to elven culture.
Facts.
It's where Anna and Finn got married.
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm. They're married, by the way.
They are married. Congratulations. We will get to that, yes.
You have been promoted.
You are our best employee.
Yeah.
I hated that.
And after he says this, she's like, okay, cool, great. Leaves, and then immediately has a breakdown.
Because she does understand the significance of the tree.
She does. And this is kind of what I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Because I just want to read it because it just makes so much sense reading it off versus like explaining it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Sure. Go for it.
This is what I wrote to Mars, kind of explaining why she had said breakdown.
Ooh, I like it. I get to be here for this? Okay!
This is the perks you guys get when you show up for other people's things and for my things where I talk about NPCs.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited.
You get more.
So I said, okay, first, she keeps offering sex to Cal because she thinks that's what men want. She thinks that all she's good for is that in a subconscious level. Her thought process is, Cal's hurting, I can help that with sex. So that's why she does that. There's this deep-seated belief from her ex when she was 16, that awful guy who we've purposely never named.
Stabbing that man right now, currently.
Unnamed piece of trash, yes. Continue.
Another explanation for her current actions. She's also trying to not like Cal too much because she's afraid of being burned again. She's so afraid of loving someone that and not having it reciprocated, as both times that's happened, it's destroyed her, because she did actually end up having feelings for Ardos. But she felt like it was never reciprocated because he just wasn't there.
Right.
Getting with Ardo was even her way of trying again after only having flings and one-night stands for years, and now that it's happened each time she's let herself love, she's beyond terrified. So Cal actually telling her things that he likes her, showing his emotions, made her realize how afraid she is about the potential of what that could be. She doesn't think she can survive another heartbreak, so the power of this weapon that Callie had her test out was like breaking a dam, and so all of her emotions just flooded her back. Especially with him asking to take her to the tree was kind of like a flashback to her first boyfriend, the one when she was 16, asking to show her around the city in a super cool spot that only he knew. So it was a very like similar experience for her, and she was just like, holy cow, what is going on?
Damn. I think also like Sarah potentially like having those like these like flirtatious little moments where she's like tee hee ha ha, poke 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 poke, and then he was like, no, I like you, and she was like, oh fuck, you know, this isn't just for shits and gigs anymore.
Yeah.
And I think also there's a part of Sarah that's really fucking scared that like she hasn't been acknowledging her feelings for him, because to do that would be like admitting that she's already fallen, because I think she has
100% she has,
right, but I think it's also like for her, she knows that this one feels different than anything else she's had, so it's like she still has her like baggage that she's bringing into it, but then also being like really scared of the unknowns of potentially a long-term relationship,
because even though they banter and they whatever, it's still very much, he's definitely hinting at being into her legitimately. He's still hinting at there being more to their situation than just the tee ha ha, as she is. And since that conversation and since her breakdown even, and like talking to everyone about it, she has grown more bold in her flirtations. It's definitely like, oh, well, you know, like I think she referred to him as her future maybe boyfriend husband or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like made a joke about like, oh, their wedding one day.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's getting more bold because she's realizing that she needs to embrace their whatever's going on, because if she doesn't, she's gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this boy is how he is. He didn't dissuade her ever, because I don't think he
doesn't
to. But also he's never like, yeah, because that's just not who he is.
He's not.
No, also
he
that he said what he said, and then it was a one-on-one situation. In most of these situations where she's very bold, they are in front of a group. And he's very cagey about his emotions in general.
He is.
Him and Finn are both like that. It's for a reason.
They've been traumatized. Repeatedly.
What?
No.
What? No. He's perfectly normal. It's like, what was that? What was the meme?
Look at him. He's fine.
It's like, there's something wrong with your kid. There's nothing wrong with my kid. The kid in question.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, but that's where we are up
currently
in Act 2. Yeah. They have not made anything official, but unfortunately, things keep hitting the fan, and circumstances keep getting worse. So we shall see how things go soon. But you know, it could be good.
That was a giant info dump.
No, but as it should be.
We're talking about Sarah.
A lot of stuff has happened for her.
Yes.
So that way the audience knows that Sarah's not just the funny one.
She's not.
She is the funny one. She is quite funny. However,
it's because of trauma.
She's more than that. She's also very interesting and
we should
smart.
Totally make that trend on TikTok.
Wait, you completely didn't talk about Sarah's machinations.
Her machinations.
Her machinations to get Magnus and Amelia together. That was a whole part of acting.
Oh God.
It's from Sarah's POV though. It's Sarah's POV.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Sarah's nosy.
Yes, she is.
What?
Megan took every opportunity to listen to doorways, to hide behind walls, to listen.
She, in Act 1, she saw that Magnus and Amelia were flirtatiousness. And she could just sense.
I love that.
She could just sense that there was some things going on. And I think she, like, wormed her way into becoming the prince's best friend.
She did not ask. She told him.
I do recall that, like, first session, it was like, I think I briefly touched on the fact that, and we'll get into this, like, with Amelia's stuff.
We'll get into depth later.
Basically, she had known Magnus since they were children. And when we were playing said 20 questions game, basically, Sarah noticed some glances between Amelia and Magnus. So it was a little bit
her mission to get them together.
Yes, and I remember that after Magnus had left that session of 20 questions, basically Sarah was like, "What the fuck was that?" And Amelia's like, "What the fuck was what?" So it was a later session where Sarah kind of was like walking with him in the hallway, and she was like, "Hey, listen up. You should tell me what you're feeling because I'm your best friend." And he was like, "I don't recall saying that ever."
This is news to me.
Who knew? Not me.
Well, I'm your best friend now. It's like,
it was also after Magnus had specifically called you his ally.
Yeah, that was cuckoo bananas.
That was a great time.
We'll get
Sarah
to that.
said the most beautiful words ever. You royally fucked up.
Oh yes, one of her other iconic statements
for the
group.
Sarah has many. She has so many.
She does have many.
Oh man.
Um.
But yes, Sarah was meddling quite a lot. She didn't really have to meddle
too
with
hard.
May and Meryl.
No, they did that on their own.
But Amelia and Sarah did have to be mom and dad for May a lot throughout Act 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
She had questions and they needed to answer them.
That's facts.
Why do I feel like spending all of my time with this person? It's like, well, honey, you're in love. What is love?
What does that mean?
Okay, let's unpack. Okay, so you know when...
okay.
But I think...
Great.
In a lot of ways, Sarah... I have always described her as the heart of the group. Because I feel like Sarah is more of like, she wants all of her people to not only feel free to love, but also to be loved.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that stems from, she had a lot of avenues in which love was almost distorted for her.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know if she ever truly felt love as a child, unless it was from Jorah.
Right.
And so, and she knew that, and then also her first like experience with love was so traumatic for her that all she wants, she's a fixer.
But I think Celia needs to give Sarah a hug.
Facts.
Yeah. Like, she
also, I think it would break another dam if Celia was like, oh sweetie, you have so much love in you, like so much, and there's so much coming to you.
Unfortunately, she just thinks things are obvious, but they aren't.
She's like, what do you mean you've never experienced love? It's literally all around you, girly pop. You know?
Like,
you're fine.
Sarah is so, like, because she's realizing that she now has family that loves her and she loves them. And it's the first time that she's ever had that. And so she is so beyond protective of them that, like, that's why she goes and defends Cal so quickly when Amelia is, like, you know, jabbing at him. Even though it's playful, even though it's their shtick and whatnot, she, like...
Their shtick.
She, like, can't handle people, like, two people that she cares about being mad at each other.
Right.
Like,
even if they're not serious.
My best friends are fighting. Stop. We're like, we're not actually fighting. I would die for that man. And he's like, I don't know if I would die for her, but...
Or, like, I mean, Amelia and Magnus were having their kind of issues. She was kind of not in the middle. She forced herself in the middle.
Right. Right.
She was very much like, I don't know how to handle this. I want you guys to be happy. Please be happy. And she, like, was freaking out because they weren't happy.
Right.
They were having issues, and it was just like, no, don't do this. I can't handle. Mom and Dad can't fight.
Yeah. Poor baby.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad are fighting. It is giving me flashbacks.
And I really don't like it.
Please stop this.
Yeah, which I think is very real, but I think, you know, there's a lot of moments where I think, at least Amelia, like, being so close to her and so connected, I feel that she really does try to have Sarah, like, have space to heal, and that's why she'll kind of, like, step in and be very, like, honest with her.
Yeah.
Because I feel like their relationship has always been pretty, like, honest and straightforward, you know? Where they're very, like, blunt with one another, but almost like those friends that are like, bitch, you need some honesty. So, like, yeah, that guy's cute over there, but he's also just fine. Like, leave. Hello? Like, you know, whatever.
He's mid.
Like, you don't have to settle.
You do not. No.
He is quite mid. I would also like to bring up that a dynamic that I personally love is Sarah's interactions with Lydia.
Yeah.
Sarah is, I feel like, the cool aunt.
1000%, yeah.
That, like, would sneak
so
her
Lydia is
some wine.
Amelia's niece. She was with the party for a period of time while they were in Atlas.
Which basically, while Act 1 was going on, Lydia was not present. It wasn't until after the war that essentially, like, Amelia's sister, who is the mother of Lydia, kind of went a little bit, like, cuckoo bananas because she lost her husband. So Amelia kind of took Lydia under her wing, and then by association, the group took her under her wing, their wings or whatever. And so I feel like Sarah and Lydia's relationship is definitely cool aunt type connections.
Like, I'll help bail you out of jail.
There'll be
and we don't have to tell your mother about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the one taking you. I'm taking you to the bar with your fake ID to make sure that you're safe.
Right.
There have been many situations that have occurred where Lydia is pissed with Amelia for whatever reason because that's mom. So typical. I'm close to you.
Fucking.
But she'll talk to Sarah.
Yeah. And then Sarah, I think, secretly would go to Amelia and be like, hey, so, like, you and Lydia are having a fight. This is what she told me. You're not allowed to tell her that I told you.
Because that would break some trust. Yeah.
That would break some trust, but it's also, like, I feel like Sarah would only do that if it was,
like he was, like, in literal danger.
Yeah, if it's definitely, like, where she can help Amelia see Lydia's side, or, like, Lydia's doing something dangerous, like, hey, you need to be aware of this.
It also feels like, because Amelia and Sarah's relationship is so blunt, like we said, whenever Sarah comes in and is like, Lydia talked to me, you do not get to get upset with me that she talked to me. And Amelia is basically like, okay, fine, I'm listening, like, whatever. And she's like, okay, also what you can't do is you cannot tell her that I told you this. The only reason why I'm telling you is because you need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
And apologize, because that is a young girl. Stop it.
Lydia
she's 16 and stupid, so we're not doing that.
She's also the same way with Lydia. I'd be like, you do realize that was really stupid of you to do that. You should probably go apologize, like, now.
Well, and I also think that in a lot of ways, you know, with what we were talking about with Sarah's childhood, especially where she was at when she was 16, I think there's a lot of parts of her that's like, I know what it was like to be a 16-year-old girl in Formosa, and the expectations that are put on you. And it's great that you have people who care about you, but I think also Sarah is very much trying to point out to Lydia, like, we are not going to make stupid decisions that put us in horrible situations. Like, we're going to make better choices. Very much the I've lived more life than you, please listen to me type situations.
I think it's hard. And we'll get more in depth about the NPCs, like I said before, but I do want to say this about Lydia, because this is kind of the mindset I'm in when I'm writing for her. It's definitely, especially in her interactions with the group, I think she has different dynamics with everyone, but specifically with who is here. She's had, like, really intense dark experiences at a very, very young age. So the fact that she's acting quote unquote normally for her age is already a boon.
Yeah.
100%.
Already great. But the reason that she does act out specifically with Amelia, it has to do with the whole idea of, okay, well, I feel safe enough for you not to reject me if I fuck up.
Yeah.
Which is already big. It's huge. But they're trying to teach her, but she's also impulsive, and she is very good at what the things she is good at.
Yep.
And so she has a lot of confidence in that. She's have a little less confidence. But that's kind of the angle I come from with that. And then on top of that, like I said, she goes to Sarah because she feels as though Sarah's cool. Sarah gets it. As though Amelia doesn't get it or something. I don't know.
I think it's because Amelia is her more mother figure, and it's, like, harder to go to your mom about something stupid that you did versus your fun aunt.
Yeah.
Which we'll unpack why that is such a struggle for Amelia to feel whenever we do her session.
It's like congratulations, you're a mom now. You're a mom of a teenager though, so good luck.
No. Like Amelia definitely has emotions about when Lydia feels that she cannot come to her. And that's multifaceted.
That is
great. Yay! Everybody in the group has trauma. Yes.
Uh-oh.
The only person in our group that doesn't have daddy issues is Callie.
Yeah, good for her.
Well, no, I think
she had the best daddies. Fact.
Does Othame have daddy issues?
Technically, yes, because she doesn't know who her true father is.
Technically, but also.
So that's complicated.
I mean, you need to get into it, but
we'll get into it later.
Yeah, we'll get it. That's another day. That's
a whole other bag of worms. It's a whole thing. Yes.
I can't wait for that.
But if we don't have anything else to add about Sarah's dynamics with others, if we want, we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else you want to add for her. I think we did a really decent job of talking about as much as we could remember and everything about that.
Without like spoiling other stuff.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's really hard because it's so intertwined that like
everything is
so intertwined.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it will be nice for others who potentially start watching these like lore talks to see like, oh, okay, that's how that fits in. That's how that fits in. Okay.
Oh, this is why Sarah's like.
Yeah, it's just puzzle pieces. So I think it's really great. I don't know if we have anybody in the chat, so to speak.
That's just
but for our VOD, I do want to give like a little bit of a send off. So, a few things. If you are watching this VOD, or you would be interested in looking and catching up on previous sessions that we've had about the story, or the lore talks that we have done already, below this video, you'll find all of our socials. So please follow us on TikTok and Instagram. But also, if you want to watch those videos, like I said, all of them will be on our YouTube channel, which is also linked below. Make sure to give us a follow because as of today, we are getting really close to that 50 follower count. So we appreciate that. We're at 43 right now, which is actually insane.
That is insane.
And we are so appreciative of everyone who has supported everything. A couple shout outs for tonight's episode, though, is going to be Kilted Finn. Thank you so much for following tonight. As well, we want to give more plugs to some people because we are unable to raid, which sucks. So we'll get there eventually, but some people that we recommend definitely following are the ones that you may already know, right? Like Critical Role. And of course, you should go watch other amazing DMs. We also strongly suggest going to see other Dungeons and Dragons channels that are on Twitch. A lot of them have so much developed already, and it's really, really great. We are going to go live again. I don't know if it's going to be this week or this weekend or anything like that, but definitely for sure next Monday at 8 p.m. Central. So we hope that you will join us there, and we love you guys. So we'll see you on Monday.
Oh yeah. Bye guys.
Bye.